today we're going to be installing this Magneride delete kit that you get from magdelete.com. It's the same company, it looks like, but I went ahead and opted for the Bilstein preloaded struts, shocks and struts, and these are supposedly they have a 1.85 inch lift, so I guess it's like a leveling kit almost. I'm probably going to start on the rears just because it's a lot easier to do. As you can see right now, I'm pretty sure my suspension is messed up. It rides super stiff like y'all saw in the other videos, and hopefully after installing this, it fixes all of that, especially with plugging in the sensors and everything, because I'm not sure if it's the actual shocks that are messed up or if maybe the system was messed up. No clue about these suspensions at all, but you probably don't either, so we're gonna learn together. So I'm gonna get this jacked up, put it on jack stands and start working on it. All right, so I went ahead, I got it swapped out. So the bottom and top bolts on the rear are 21 millimeter, and the top one only has a bolt since there's a nut already welded to the actual shock mount. Down here, I just used a crescent wrench, like just the ones, the adjustable crescent wrench, and then I used that on one side, and then the other side I had 21, just because I don't have any of the 21-inch tools to use it with. But it actually, it came, as y'all saw, tied up. Pretty sure it's gonna lower the height of this truck, so I'm gonna have to tighten it up whenever I actually lower the rear. So something to keep in mind too. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side now on this rear, and you do gotta disconnect it. So to disconnect it, you just pull the red tab back, press down on it, and then pull it off. I lied. For some reason, the shock decided to just extend out right now, so I already got it in place somewhat. I'm gonna put the bolt through, and then this one should be good. I'm gonna torque everything once I actually get it set down on the ground. So right now I'm just gonna be putting it in hand tight. All right, so the best way to install this is actually gonna be from the top. So put it in at the top, then this is gonna push out. And what you could do is put a screwdriver flathead on one side to pry it up while you get the bolt in through the other side to line it up and then push it through. Put the nut on. That's the easiest way. This went in super smooth. Maybe took me 2 minutes versus trying to figure out doing it from the top first or doing it from the bottom first to try and line it up with the top, because there's no space up here. So top first, then use the flathead to line it up on the bottom, push the bolt through. That should be the easiest way to do it. So this is how it's looking right now. I think they forgot to send me off the leveling kit for the top of this shock because there was nothing like any kind of space or anything, unless it's inside of here, but got it all torqued up right now. I did it the unconventional way. This was not coming off at all, nor was my tie rod. So I went ahead and just shoved it in from the bottom this way. Had 3 holding it on hand tight. Then I had to kind of finesse it and stick a screwdriver inside that hole right here to kind of move one mount. And then once I had it somewhat lined up, I put the bolt through and hammer it in, and it lined up one. Same method on the other side, but I actually even took like a pry bar and just hit it with my hammer to kind of line it up more, and then tried to make the bolt go through a little bit, then hammer it up again like I was saying. Got everything Loctited. The torque on the bottom and top mounts, the nuts, are gonna be 37 foot-pounds all around. I'm gonna do the same to the other side, and we're gonna go on the inside and do the Magneride delete, and then we should be done with this project. All right, so we got the suspension all wrapped up on this side. It actually was a lot easier to do it over here. It took me maybe half the time to do this one. I'm not sure why the other side was being a pain in the ass, but this one was way easier. It slid in like nothing. So this is how it should look whenever it's done. So the shock needs to sit on the top, or strut, whatever you want to call it. It needs to sit on the top. The bolt goes through the bottom. And then I went ahead and did blue Loctite all around. And the torque on these, if I already mentioned it, it's 37 foot-pounds on the top ones and the bottom ones. So I'm gonna put the wheel back on, open up the dash, and then plug that in so we can get this Magneride delete all taken care of. All right, and lastly, the torque for the rears is gonna be 85 foot-pounds. And then I'm gonna do the same thing like I did to the other ones. I'm gonna put some Loctite on the thread. I'm gonna do it towards the nut end on this bottom piece. And then at the top, I'm gonna just try and see if I could take it out of the complete bolt. I might just leave that one because I don't feel like torquing all that. I'm gonna torque it, but I'm not gonna do Loctite, but I'll do Loctite on the bottom ones. But yes, 80 foot-pounds for the bottom one and the top one. All right, so from the looks of it, it says here you're supposed to unbolt the original OBD port, and then you're gonna plug it into this red piece, and then this is actually gonna take the place of where your OEM OBD port is. Then this is gonna be plugged in underneath the dash, which is, I guess it's showing right here where it is. It's gonna be one of those that I'm gonna have to disconnect, but I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna get this all unbolted here. I might even pull the column off, but I don't think I have to. The knee bolster, I mean. I don't think I have to, but I'm gonna start off with that and then go from there. So I got it plugged in right now. This is how it's gonna look like. I guess if you want to, I'm gonna leave this hanging, but whenever I'm wrapping it up, I can zip tie it up high so my feet aren't kicking in and I can hide this wiring a little bit better. But it does come with mounting areas where you can put it back in the OEM spot, which is cool. I also need to figure out where I'm gonna be putting this. Most likely I'm gonna mount it like along with the rest of this crap that's right here, but the only part I'm having an issue with is finding where this actually plugs into. Plot twist, that's not a plot twist, I'm just an idiot. So just flip the next page, it's gonna show you exactly where it goes. So that is the plug we're gonna be plugging in, and it is this actual piece here, this plastic piece. So you do gotta take that cover off, and I'm gonna go ahead and do that, plug this in, see how much wiring I'm gonna need to take out of this. And then I did also, something to keep in mind, I did disconnect the battery just in case to make sure nothing electrical bad happened. So yeah, keep that in mind. So I'm gonna take this cover off, plug this boy in, tuck this stuff in, try to clean it up, and then I might even get some Tessa tape too and just wrap this all up to make it look more OEM than it is. But this is how Tessa tape looks. So I figured that'd be a good solution, especially with this thing right here. So let me take that cover off. For this box, you're gonna see it has 3 tabs. So you just gotta pull them up and they'll pop right off. So this is how it's gonna end up looking. So I've got it plugged in here. There was nothing plugged into this at all. And I did end up having to cut that zip tie that it came with because it was just way too short. So I'm gonna have to loom this all together, and then I'm gonna tape it up. But before I do all that, I'm gonna turn the truck on, make sure there's no dash lights or service lights or anything like that, and then get everything all tidied up, zip tied and tucked away. All right, so there's no service lights on the dash, so we should be good to get everything tucked away and then put it all back together. Close the hood. I'm gonna pick up all the tools and then we'll go for a quick test drive on this thing. So this is gonna be the final look. So I got it zip tied here, and then I got this zip tied twice. And then I went ahead and did some Tessa tape to cover the red wire. And you can barely see it, but the red wire comes through at the top. And so that's kind of the best I'm gonna be able to get that, especially just because it's a really tight fit here, especially with the wiring and trying to figure it out and make it look all clean. So hopefully this all works out. I'm gonna go ahead, put the knee bolster back on. Turn the truck on one more time to make sure it's good, and then we should be set from there. All right, so if you made it this far, then you're good. So that's the end. And obviously if you're still having warning light issues, it tells you some kind of process to break it down and try and figure that out. I don't have that issue right now, so we should be good there. I'm gonna go ahead, like I said, pick up the tools. We'll go for a quick test drive. So let's get this wrapped up so we can go on a quick drive. All right, boys and girls, so in this part of the video, it decided to not work on my audio whenever I was voicing over the drive. But basically, I'm just going over how the old suspension was horrible and how much better the new suspension is. I went ahead and I decided to go this route because to replace it with the Magneride shocks, it was going to be $500 more at the time, I think it was. Maybe actually a lot more than that. And doing the delete, it was a lot cheaper and a lot more, I guess, efficient in my opinion, because you will never have to rely on that magnetic ride again. Because sometimes you can get a fault code from the Magneride saying that it's not working correctly, and then you have to replace the shocks all over again. Just a big whole deal. So I didn't want to have to deal with that in the future. I would 10 out of 10 recommend it for 14 to 18. Silverado, Sierras, I think Tahoe's, Yukons, Escalades, you could do them too. Just any GM truck, I would definitely recommend it. That way you don't have to stick to the magnetic suspension that they gave you from the factory. I don't think it's worth it, especially, I guess the ride quality is amazing. I never got to experience it, but I'm perfectly fine with just your normal shocks. Another thing too to keep in mind is the old suspension, the Magneride, that it did come with. Apparently, a lot of people say it only lasts them 30 to 40,000 miles. I could be wrong. That's just what I was reading on forums, but I'm hoping this one's going to last for a lot longer. I mean, I'm hoping to get at least 60 to 80,000 miles out of them before I have to replace them, and hopefully that's going to be far in the future. But hope y'all like this video. If y'all want to see anything more, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Catch you on the next one.